Hey everyone, welcome back to our playlist on object-oriented programming. In the previous video, we covered what polymorphism is and then we dived into compile-time polymorphism. So in case you haven't watched it yet, I'd suggest you go watch it first in order to understand what polymorphism is. Now we'll be taking a look at runtime polymorphism. The topics covered will be what is runtime polymorphism, function overriding, virtual functions, and at last we'll be seeing what virtual table and virtual pointer is. Whenever an object is bound with the functionality at runtime, this is known as runtime polymorphism. It is also known as dynamic method dispatch. In contrast to compile time polymorphism, as we saw before, here the compiler deduces the object type at runtime and then decides which function call to bind to the object. Let's go through a few concepts required to understand runtime polymorphism in C++. First up, function overriding. Function overriding is a feature that allows us to have a same function in derived class which is already present in the base class. This means that both functions will have the same function signature. We should remember that method overriding cannot be done within just one class. Inheritance is a necessary condition. We know that a derived class inherits all the properties of a base class. In this example on screen, the display data function will be inherited by the derived class. But then we are redefining it over here in the derived class. It is like creating a new version of an old function. So the method in the base class is called overridden method and the method in the derived class is called overriding method. If I was to create an object of the derived class in this way, which is creating the object statically, the display data function of the derived class would be called. So we can see overriding in play over here. Before we move on to virtual functions, let's go back and see the two ways in which you can create an object in C++. In the first case, we are creating an object statically, while in the second case, we create an object dynamically. In this case, we are using the new keyword, and it is returning a pointer to the object. Pay special attention to the second case because we'll be discussing it in virtual functions. This is the object pointer in this case, which is of the type myClass, and this is the object instance that is being pointed to, which also happens to be of the type myClass. However, these two types could be different, like in the case of upcasting. So in this case, the referencing pointer is of the base class, but the object referenced is of the derived class type. Now we have discussed what function overriding is, and then we took a look at creating objects using the new keyword. So let's see what virtual functions are. In object-oriented programming, we declare a virtual function to let the compiler know that the call to this function needs to be resolved at runtime, which is also known as late binding. The object type is determined and correct version of the function is called depending on whether the object is of base class or if it is of derived class. Specifically in C++, all the class member functions are non-virtual by default. But they can be made virtual by using the virtual keyword in the function signature of base class. If the function of base class is made virtual, then the function of derived class with same name can override the base class's function. Virtual functions are called according to the type of object instance pointed to or referenced, and not according to the type of pointer or reference. In this case, if the declared function is non-virtual, the function from base class would be called as the pointer is of base type, despite the object being of derived type. But if the function is virtual, then the function from derived class would be called. The concept of virtual functions is better understood if we were to see an example. So let's start coding. We have the base class ready. It has one data member of integer type called data1, and the access specifier is protected so that we'll be able to inherit it later on. We have defined a constructor which will initialize the value of data1, and then we have the display data function, It is the same example that we discussed previously in the video. It will print base class and then the value of data1 to the console. Let's create another class now which inherits from the base class, and we'll call it derived. So we know that there are two things which will get inherited here. One is the variable data1 and two the display data function. We'll be creating another member variable in the derived class, and let's call it data2. Next we'll create the constructor. This time we'll be giving in two arguments because we want to initialize both data1 and data2. Okay, so both our classes have the constructors ready. Okay, now what we are going to do is we'll be redefining the display data function from the base class in our child class. The function signature will be same. Okay, so that's it. Now let's create an object of the type derived, and let's try calling the display data function on it. At first we'll be creating the object statically, that is without using the new keyword. For the derived class object, the binding of the function call is going to happen at the compile time itself in this case. Let's call the display data function on it. So after running the code, we can see that the display data function from derived class is being called. So it is overriding the method from base class. Now let's say we wanted to call the display data function from the base class on a derived class object. We could still be able to do that using the scope resolution operator. This is the scope resolution operator. Now let's try running this. So in this case, we are calling the base class function display data. Let's go to the next case. This time we'll be creating an object dynamically using the new keyword. We'll be using a base class pointer to point to an object which is of the type derived class. Note that our object is of the type derived, but the referencing pointer is of type base. We'll call the display data function on D1 now. And let's try running this. So what happens here is that the compiler will decide at the compile time itself that since the pointer is of the base class, then the display data function to be called should also be from the base class. As we can see in the output, compiler cannot reduce the object type. In order to have the derived class function to override the base class function, we are now going to use the virtual keyword in the function signature of display data function in the base class. So we are adding the virtual keyword over here. So now what we are doing is we are telling the compiler that the object type should be reduced at runtime and the write function call should be made accordingly. Let's try running this code again. This time display data function of derived class is being called. So that's how the virtual keyword works. Let's take a look at one last case now. We'll be having another class and we'll call it derived from derived. It will be inheriting from the derived class. Okay, and let's see the hierarchy once again. The hierarchy is that we have inherited the derived class from base and we have inherited the derived from derived class from the derived class. Now again we'll be introducing a member function, the third member function. And we'll need a constructor again with a few changes. Okay, and at last we'll be redefining the display data function again. That should do it, yes. Now let's take a look at the virtual keyword. We have the virtual keyword in the base class for display data function. In derived class though, when we redefined the display data function, we haven't mentioned virtual. And in derived from derived, we have the display data function redefined. So this time what we'll do is we'll create an object dynamically using the new keyword. The pointer will be of the type derived, and the object type will be derived from derived. I missed the new keyword. Okay. And this will be taking 3 arguments. Now this time let's try calling the display data function again. And let's run it. We know that the derived class does not have the virtual keyword in the function signature of display data function, and yet the virtual keyword is working all the same for this case. So the point to note here is that even if you have defined a function to be virtual in the base class and not in the class over here, still it is going to stay virtual. So once you declare a function to be virtual, it will be a virtual function throughout. Coming to the last topic, virtual table and virtual pointer. To accomplish late binding, a compiler creates vtables or virtual tables for each class with virtual function. The address of virtual functions is inserted into these tables. Whenever an object of such class is created, the compiler inserts a pointer called vpointer pointing to vtable for that object. So the virtual table is a lookup table of functions used to resolve function calls in dynamic binding manner. Both these concepts cannot be used directly inside the program. Point to note is that the vtable is a table of function pointers maintained per class, whereas virtual pointer is a pointer to vtable maintained per object instance. So that explains the working of virtual function. With this